Welcome back to Amaroo Park, where it's getting a little overcast, but no sign of any rain as yet. There's cars come around and prepared to grid up for the next event on our program this afternoon, which is round 5 of the Motorcraft Formula Ford Driver to Europe Series. Let's check the grid for this event. And on pole position, car number 9, Andrew Gubb in a Van Diemen, 52.50 was his time. Chris Manish on the front row of the grid. That's a very big performance by him in car 66. Car 21, Mark Larkham holds down third spot, accompanied by Martin Carpenter on that second row of the grid. Then Peter Salminen in a Van Diemen in 5th position, followed by Glenn Zampatti, also on the third row. 4th row occupied by car 14, Simon Kane, and car 8, Michael Mortimer. Then Robert Bennett in car number 7 and David Roberts in car 4, rounding out the top 10. Just the top 10 of a field of 22 to start in this race, 15 laps.
I notice our old friend Gary Jones, who helps out our 7 crew by carrying race cam on the Van Diemen, is back this afternoon out of 14th spot. There's Gary. He's carrying our race cam, new location. The boys have been working very hard on perfecting some pictures coming out of Gary's car. Front row, though, of Andrew Gubb and Chris Manish. Might be hard to catch when they get away from the field. Be a couple of power failures, strangely enough, at Amaroo Park Raceway today, which is upsetting the timers and the scorers. However, we thought we were about 30 seconds away from the start. They've had another power surge, so maybe it's about a minute away. And this is one category of motorsport that is here to entertain the masses. Formula Ford today, a dual round of the Motorcraft Formula Ford Driver to Europe Series, and of course a Coca-Cola bottlers round for the domestic point score here at Amaroo Park. We have a whole lot of sport coming to you on the Australian Television Network. Don't forget each and every Saturday, 1 through 5 p.m, Saturday Sports World, including VFL Match of the Day, and of course on Sunday, coast to coast around Australia, 9 through 12 Eastern Time, Sports World Sunday. And tomorrow morning, live from Brookline Country Club in Boston, Massachusetts, the final round of the US Open, 4 o'clock Eastern Time, tomorrow morning, live and exclusive to 7 Sport. Hope you can join us. And in touring cars and motorsport, the next motorsport telecast will be the Shell Ultra Australian Touring Car Finale from Oran Park Raceway here in Sydney. Sunday, the 17th of July. You'll see it live in Sydney, in Brisbane, Perth, 3 through 6 p.m. And then, of course, Eastern Time, 2 through 5. And for replays in Melbourne and Adelaide, perhaps you might like to check your local times for highlights. Bringing you a great variety of sport. 7 Sport, part of the Australian Television Network.
Andrew Gubb on screen, pole sitter, great performance yesterday in qualifying, leading the Coca-Cola Bottlers Formula Ford Series. He was the top pupil in the Winfield School back in France in '83, and as you can see, he's won a couple of rounds of this year's Coke Series, and that's well indicated in his point score. He was the winner of the Lakeside round of the Motorcraft Series, and he's currently overall second in that series behind David Roberts. In fact, he's 2 points behind Roberts with 47, Gubb with 45, and Gary Jones third with 39. We have seen the best season so far of Formula Ford racing in both the Coke Series and also the Motorcraft Series. Now, these guys are getting amber lights here at the moment, and they're being told to get off the gas. You can hear the cars revving in the background. Confusion reigns. There's been another power surge apparently in the control tower, which throws the timing gear out of whack.
So throwing the timing out of whack, all right.
Yeah, it's pretty simple though. You drop the green flag or turn the green light on, and however the first 10 come across the line after 15 laps, that's the car race.
This is pretty infuriating for drivers who may be sitting there holding a car in gear, clutches cooking. There's the shot from Gary Jones' car looking over the right shoulder.
You certainly wouldn't want this happening in the James Griswold 1000 at Bathurst.
Glenn Zampatti in the mobile entry.
Yeah, shaking
his
off fists in frustration. Kart racer from way back in West Australia, raced Formula Mondial for some time, switched to Formula Ford last season, and is doing pretty well for himself in both Coke and Motorcraft Series in '88.
Well, after a true Wally World performance leading up to the start, they're ready to get underway now for this important 5th round of the Motorcraft Formula Ford Driver to Europe Series.
We'll watch the start. Chris Manish away smartly, very smartly indeed. Actually beats Andrew Gubb. Moving up the outside, Mark Larkham got away to a good start as well. Glenn Sampati away quickly as they work their way up before this huge crowd today at Amaroo Park Raceway. And we wait for them as they come over the top of Skyline and drop down into Dunlop Loop. Gary Jones, we take camera from race camp. Whoop, one off the rails here. They're all forced to swing very, very wide indeed. Jones gone through there on the inside, probably picks up about 4 or 5 spots as they work their way down the back straight for the first time.
Great stuff from Chris Manish. Still carrying his P plate, having one of his first few drives. Son of the famous Frank Manish. And very actively involved in motorcycle racing over a period of time as a team manager and generally close to motorsport, but now really putting his best foot forward in racing in Formula Ford, and he's having a great go. He's having a very impressive run today at Amaroo. He's already got the lead over Andrew Gubb as they come out of the turn across the start-finishing line now. Martin Carpenter drops into third for the tow up the hill. Right behind him, Peter Salminen. Oh, and makes a run there to the inside. Gary Jones, we take race cam as we reach the top. Jones is having a big go, isn't he? Look at him. Is he what? Down here into the right-hander at Dunlop Loop. He had a fuel pump problem yesterday, which is the reason he was so far down the grid. So he'll be nice and wound up and a bit aggro and wanting to get on with the job. There's our race leader, though. Wearing helmet colours identical to that of world champion Nelson Piquet. Nelson Chewy. Martin Carpenter alongside Andrew Gubb. This is going to be interesting. Martin perhaps just a little braver under brakes. Oh, Andrew gets all out of shape. Maybe, I think, got out a little bit of oil out there. There was some dust rising, but just managed to save it. But there's more than that settling now. Coming across the line. Salminen in 74 now moves up on the tail of Andrew Gubb as they head up Bitchapave Hill yet again. 1.2 seconds the leader's gap at the moment. That's very healthy in this class of racing. And for a relative newcomer, he's more than doing a hot job. There's Andrew Gubb. Salminen just behind him. Mark Larkham up there as well in car number 21. We've seen some really good stuff from him so far this year. He's in 7th place in the title, in the Motorcraft title, with 21 points. Salminen gets a bit sideways. There's David Roberts in the Duckham Oils car number 4. He's leader of the Motorcraft series. He's way down in the point score in the Coach series, the local series here at Amaroo Park. He had some drama at Sandown, didn't he? And got in all sorts of strife. And that cost his point score pretty dearly, and it's now only a 2-point advantage that he holds over Andrew Gubb. Qualified in 10th, so he's chopping his way through the field as well. Chris, car number 66. There's the P plate on the back of the gearbox. Beautifully presented Van Diemen. Yeah, well, the way he's going belies the P plate on the back of the car, doesn't it? Because he's serving it up to some pretty stiff competition, experienced competition here in this round. P plate doesn't really mean much, I reckon. The guy's got the ability, he's showing it, and beyond that, it's a piece of useless plastic stuck to the back of the car. Well, he hasn't really been seen to advantage prior to this in any of our televised meetings, but he's put in a lot of miles. But he's got it in his genes. Yep. Hope he doesn't wash it out. His father, Frank, a former Australian champion.
He'll be checking out his mirrors about now.
Yes, he'll need to, because Martin Carpenter is all over the back of his car. Now he's got away again. Coming down towards on the corner and doing a good job. Pretty cool under pressure. Gary Jones, carrying Sevens race cam, is really having a pretty tough time of it out there today. The car seems to want to wander a little bit. There is a whole lot of looks like oil and mess out on the outside of the road down there. He's in 9th position, Gary, so he's improved a little over his qualifying situation, but
and those dark clouds are looming overhead. It's getting pretty ominous for the Touring Car Championship race coming up shortly. Neil Crompton sitting in the booth here alongside Winston at that remark.
Chris is still hanging in there at the moment with a couple of car lengths in hand. Martin Carpenter's really throwing everything at him. The last time that we saw him up at top of the hill, it was a pretty brave lurch on Martin's part. But he'll be pleased that he's managed to clear himself of Andrew Gubb. They've been having some great tussles throughout the season. And Salmon, and then Larkham behind in the yellow car. I think David Roberts may be next in car number 4, so he's getting back up there and amongst the point score. And also lurking around up there as well was Robert Bennett. And we've seen some really useful stuff from him so far this year. Martin Carpenter, 23 years of age, out of Sydney, started racing in 80 in karts, which seems to be the way to the top for a lot of the open-wheeler drivers. Debuted in this class in 86, and he was the winner of the Formula Ford support race in last year's Australian Grand Prix, and it was a great drive, and third in last year's Driver to Europe Series, and hoping to improve on that this year, although he's down in the point score a little bit at the moment. He's 6th with 25 points. He's shown lots of promise, Peter McKay, but time and again there's just been niggling little dramas that have really taken him out of the, really the top 3 spots where he needs to get those points.
Yes, we talk about that moment he had at Winton, I think it was, when he spent a lot of time off the track. But he does have a lot of talent, and he has a lot of people believing in him, and that's, I think, very important for a young fella going places. Wants to go to Europe later this year, wants to drive in the Formula Ford Festival at Brands Hatch, which is sort of the grand final for Formula Ford competitions all around the world. If you win that, you tend to make your name in front of some of the better team managers, and you're off and running.
Past the halfway mark in the race here, 7.5 laps gone, 7.5 remaining.
Andrew given the Today FM entry. One of the strong Formula 4 drivers of last year, Peter Verheyen's gone to Europe to do just what you're talking about, and they tell me that he's having a good run over there, and of course David Brabham's over there now joining brother Gary. Andrew Gubb waved by there by, what, car number 73 was that?
Yeah.
Bruin Beasley from Victoria. Ooh. David Roberts didn't leave him a lot of room to play with.
Top 2 breaking away just a little now from Andrew Gubb and Peter Salminen.
Tyres are starting to feel the pinch now. Cars are going through the loop, all sorts of attitudes, a bit of understeer, and I noticed Andrew Gubb getting plenty of oversteer. We saw a little bit there coming out of Honda corner. Oversteer being when the tail is hanging out for those not initiated in these matters. Understeer when the guy has plenty of steering wheel lock, but the car tends to go in the same way, in the same direction. We lost you yet?
No, yeah, nobody can see your hands, McKay. It's a great story.
Just as well.
There's an interesting situation in the Coca-Cola series here at the moment, with 3 guys sharing second place. Gary Jones, 6 points. Roger Martin with 6 points. And this man, Martin Carpenter, also with 6. So it's their 3rd appearance in that series this year. Chris Manish with no points to date, so he's up for a potential 9 if he can keep it glued together at the moment. Ooh, Martin
that's
Carpenter,
oversteered, ladies.
graphically demonstrated.
These cars get around Amaroo around about the touring car pace. They don't quite have the horsepower of, say, Dick Johnson Sierra, 110, 115 horsepower, but they do things pretty well.
They stop and turn brilliantly, don't they? And we've mentioned it time and again throughout the series this year that the amazing thing about this class is year in and year out, you get close racing like this, there's only probably a couple of seconds spanning all those cars that we've just looked at. Here's Paddy making a big run on David Roberts, who covered his tracks pretty broadly, had his elbows right out. Dave's an old motocrosser, he knows when to defend. Paddy out of Western Australia has done some very fine racing at Amaroo. We've seen him over there on a number of occasions. All Salminen gets very wide, and that allows Mark Larkham to have a bit of a look down the inside. The problem is that it transforms to the wrong side of the road when you get down to this right-hander. They're side by side though, and indeed Mark Larkham finding it very hard to round him up on the outside in a particularly difficult part of the track.
They've got 4 laps to go here.
Playing for keeps now, these guys.
Matic has done it well through the first 6 laps of this race, coming off the front row of the grid, beating the pole marker. Andrew Gubb up the hill the first time and holding pride of place ever since. Over Martin Carpenter, Gubb in 3rd place, followed by Salminen.
Been a pretty impressive drive from Chris Manish.
Sure has.
We've talked about his lack of experience, but he obviously been watching plenty of racing, and Father Frank has no doubt given him a few tips.
3.3 seconds separating the, what word was that? Separating the top 4.
I think you've got it on your mind.
Andrew Gubb in 3rd. Actually, was watching Martin through the left-hander at Park Royal last time, and going back to what you were talking about, the characteristics of cars, Peter, it seemed like when he first turned the car in, the back just wanted to go zipping by, and then it transmits to gross understeer.
Understeer right through the loop there.
Yeah. And maybe just a question of throwing it in a little bit deep. Sometimes you can make these cars do some pretty ugly things. He's certainly braking very, very late, and it's not really having a lot of effect at the moment. Look at this, whack, right up, and then sort of misses the apex and gets right out wide. Probably has to feather the throttle a little bit more than he'd like to. It's an interesting science, motor racing, and you can talk about it forever. It's hard to suss things out, but here comes Carpenter this time. Gee, has he got it right, or did he understeer out the other side and let Chris back through? Nope, he's done the job. It was a great bit of driving. Wasn't that a lash down the inside? Andrew Gubb's got much closer. 3 guys nose to tail in the closing stages. 2 laps.
I couldn't set up for a better finish than this one. Not probably from Chris Matich's point of view, but...
Well, Martin really needs these points big time. He's 6th in the Motorcraft series, and I said before, 2nd in the Coke series. He's just got to get a big bundle of points. And see, Andrew's back in 3rd, so that's not helping his cause. So,
although championship leader David Roberts is further back, and in fact, if Andrew Gubb finishes here, we could well see him taking the championship lead.
Handling's off in Matich's car, isn't it?
Andrew switching to the inside of the road. Chris tried to turn in. The room disappeared in a big hurry. Salminen gets through. Whack from, what's that, 1st to 5th or something. Anyway, the last lap forward comes out. 2 kilometres to run. Carpenter in control comfortably from Gubb, Salminen, then Larkham, and then Chris Matich. How things can change. A couple of other cars came off through Park Royal turn in the last corner. 2 guys have speared off into the green. Well, good stuff here from Martin Carpenter. The car didn't sort of look too right on a couple of occasions there, but it's happened many times before. He's proving that in reality the commentators really don't know. 1.75 seconds is the gap that he enjoys over Andrew Gubb, who's really being attacked at the moment by Peter Salminen. And then Mark Larkham closes up under brakes. Look at this great scrap. There's cars all over the place here. Oh, Salminen trying to make room where it doesn't exist. Andrew Gubb, I think, is going to hang on. Larkham, though, comes up on the inside. This is a great run. I think he's done the job in the Coffee Ford entry. Great stuff from Mark Larkham. Well, tremendous 5th round of the Motorcraft Formula 4 Driver to Europe Series, and in keeping with the previous 4, let me tell you. A little bit of drama earlier in the race. We have a shot here from Race Cam with the compliments of NEC. Let's see what happened. Oh, Gary Jones gets up on the ripple strip there. But I think this was all occurring in the distance as Gary came round Park Royal Parramatta. Oh, no! Gets up on the ripple strips and another couple of cars involved. Ooh, that's what the bits were that I could see. There was a blue car involved. I don't know whose it was. And the yellow car, you had a glimpse of it behind Gary's machine. Ooh, exit the front end of his old Van Diemen. So congratulations to Martin Carpenter, though. And real drama there in the last couple of minutes of that race. Bad news for Gary Jones, who's had a pretty clean run so far this year. On the Castrol scoreboard, we have Martin Carpenter as the winner from Andrew Gubb. Mark Larkham did get up for 3rd. What a great drive. Peter Salminen in 4th, and Glenn Zampatti all the way from WA picks up 5th in car 72. We're back again in just a moment.
Down where